Welcome to Reaper's Creepers. Step into the shadows, where tales of the unknown unfold. Relax, listen, and drift into the dark. Hello again, No Sleep. It's been a bit of a long day, so I thought I'd blow off some steam by recording another one of my past cases for you guys. First things first, I've been getting a lot of requests for my personal theories on what happened, as well as a little of elaboration. I've updated my last post with what I think could have occurred, and I will continue to share my thoughts at the end of my posts from now onwards. Just keep in mind that they're going to be largely speculative due to a usual lack of solid evidence. Apart from domestic and missing persons, I tend to get a lot of cases from local businesses for things like fraud, making sure their employees are legitimate with their sick days, and running background checks on potential hires. One of my more frequent clients is this quaint little antique store that sits in one of the less populated parts of town, silently minding its own business on a crooked and forgotten street corner. The couple running the joint may have a pretty sparse employee population, but they're nothing if not thorough with those few workers they do have. It's mid-autumn, and shivering winds have begun to drift into town. We have very few trees up here that would deign to become dyed that calming autumn orange, but the few that would are beautifully eye-catching splashes of color amongst a sea of pine green. The Tims residing under one such tree is where I've been called out by the aforementioned couple. I sip my coffee, patiently watching the door for their arrival. I greet them when they eventually arrive, and they settle down at my table without buying anything. I've worked with them before at this point, and I know better than to try to break the ice with small talk, so we get right into business. They've recently hired somebody to start working night shifts at their shop. As far as I know, they don't get much traffic in the daytime to begin with, so why they thought they needed someone to run the register after sundown, I've no clue. It is what it is, however, and as per usual, they don't trust the kid yet. I had already been hired to do a background check on this guy back when they first hired him. He was a good enough kid, from what I could tell. No criminal past, always seemed to go straight home from school. Never left the house much at all. And when he did, it was usually just walks or grocery runs. So the couple wants me to sit outside the storefront on the kid's first night, working to make sure he didn't neglect his post. I tried to tell them that not only would investing in a security camera be cheaper, I could install it for them to boot. They weren't interested. I made a mental note but didn't press things. They go on to tell me that they'd like me to run a mystery shopper type deal. Go in near the end of the guy's shift, buy something, and test out how well the kid deals with customers. I've been inside the antique shop a few times before, and whenever I'm approached by the couple that runs the place, I try to take as many measures as I can to avoid entering the establishment again. I'm initially reluctant to accept this case for that reason. I'm a little bit short on funds, though, so I resign myself and take the case. After taking a nap, I drive up to the street on which the shop resides before the employee in question arrives, making sure my car can't be seen from behind the counter. It meant I was also unable to see him, but that was the price that had to be paid if I wanted to test out his customer service skills later in the night. There's only one door anyway, so I'd know if he left regardless. He drives up about a half hour later, around 11:30, and switches off with the couple, the two of them heading home for the night. The store looks quite normal from the outside. It's a small, low-budget mom-and-pop type affair, a cramped little place. A single door leads to the inside of the shop, a rickety wooden staircase next to it, leading up to the vacant room turned storage space above. Even while sitting purposefully in my car, eyes trained on the chipping blue paint that frames the antique store's entrance, I can feel the reason that I don't like hanging around this place. It's like an unbearable wave of loneliness, radiating from the shop with unrelenting sorrow. The sun has long since disappeared, incandescent light emanating from the inside of the store like a beacon floating in a vast sea of melancholy. My mind plays its cruel little tricks on me a few times, shadows dancing playfully in the trees that act as the store's backdrop. Minutes turn to hours, and after what seems like an eternity, his shift is finally just about to end. The door is not opened a single time, neither for him nor customer. Letting out a sigh, I open my car door and take a step out into the pale moonlight. Chilling air bites painfully at my nose as I close the door behind me, shoving my hands into the pockets of my jacket to hide them from the gale. My footsteps are my only companion as I cross the street, gradually approaching the fittingly antiquated storefront. A small bell chimes as I push the door open, eyes instantly assaulted by dim yellow light. I'm immediately overcome with an intense desire to leave. The inside of this shop induces a phenomenon not unlike that I tend to experience in the forests, a horrible sense that things just aren't right. There's hardly any free space to maneuver, tables and shelves overflowing with an uncountable amount of dusty ornaments. Native sculptures sit lopsidedly on the creaking wooden floor. Cracked porcelain dolls glare unflinchingly with their cold, unfeeling eyes. In the corner, an aged clock tediously ticks away. There's nobody behind the counter. In that moment, time seems to freeze. My eyes flit around the store frantically. I begin to maneuver around the store. Nowhere. He isn't hiding. Nobody behind the counter, no other exits, nobody left since he arrived. My breathing starts to speed up, chest moving in and out in disjointed rhythm. The small wooden dog on the counter stares at me with an unrelenting gaze, the abyss behind its smooth black eyes mocking my efforts. The floor creaks. I pivot around. Another creak. Footsteps. The store's empty. Another footstep. I swallow deeply, the steps slowly beginning to get closer and closer. My heart beats at a sickening pace, my eyes turning up as I gradually begin to register what's happening. With each footstep, dust flutters down from the ceiling. There's someone upstairs. It is not an animal. I can very clearly hear the sound of a boot with each step. I begin to back out of the store, grasping behind me for the knob. I don't want to turn my back to anything in here. That thought begins to nag at my brain again. I don't want anything in here to stop being perceived, at least while I'm in the same space as it. The door creaks open behind me, and I step out into the dark night. The cold autumn air is almost welcoming. Letting out a long breath of relief, I close the door tightly and turn my attention to the staircase. Now, legally, I'm not allowed to go into their storage. I haven't been given express permission, and so entering that private property would obviously be against the law. But something is in there that should absolutely not be there. I peer up the stairs, pulling my phone from my pocket and flicking on the flashlight. Intense white light envelops the staircase, and I almost immediately become paralyzed. A jack-in-the-box stares back at me from the top step. Its worn cloth inhabitant sits gleefully on its spring, jutting from the top of the small plastic cube. It looks down upon me, lips wrenched upwards into a twisted facsimile of a smile. I am absolutely not hanging around this place any longer. Stuffing my phone into my pocket, I rush for my car, throwing open the door and shuffling inside. After checking to make sure there's nobody in my back seat, I let out a small sigh of relief before immediately turning my eyes back towards the staircase. I wasn't going up there, but that didn't mean I wasn't going to wait for whoever was up there to come down. Just as I'm beginning to calm down, just as I'm trying to think this through logically, the front door of the shop opens and out walks the kid. I instinctively get out of the car and move to his side, just as he's beginning to lock up. My mind swims with millions of questions, but above all, my first thought is to just finish this damn job. I can think later. I ask him if I could just quickly get in and buy something before he closes, that I already know what I'd like and won't take long. He is quite obviously taken aback by my sudden appearance and request, but I play it off as having woken up a little late and rushing over because there was something I had my eye on for a while now, and I wanted it before someone else bought it. He obliges and I follow him back in. I study him as he sets up behind the register, but he looks completely normal, like nothing has happened at all. I grab the little dog on the counter and hand it over for him to ring up, chatting with him and asking a few questions, to try to judge if there's any shake in his voice or anything. Nothing. He talks like a normal kid. In fact, he's pretty personable. I thank him and take the little wooden ornament, and that's that. In the downtime between talking to him and waiting to report to my clients, I did actually manage to form some kind of theory as to what occurred. It's tenuous at best and assumes quite a bit, but it's the best I've got. It's possible the kid was hiding behind the counter when I entered. When I began to check the shop, he may have snuck out behind my back and gone upstairs. He may have meant to steal from the storage room as he was closing up shop, but my presence caused him to freak out. Perhaps because he had already hidden on instinct, he was afraid of having to explain if he was found, so he rushed up to the storage room. When I eventually went back to the car, he may have used that opportunity to sneak back into the store to act like he was leaving. There are, of course, many problems with this. For one, why was the jack-in-the-box there? How would he have known when I was going back to my car? Why hide up there in the first place when he could have hidden behind the store and had an easier time? How would he have even snuck out of the store in the first place when the bell on the door didn't ring? The more I think about it, the less sense it makes. I wasn't too specific on things, but I did advise the couple that I had heard footsteps up there and that they should watch the storage room to make sure nothing's stolen. They didn't seem surprised and just kind of nodded. Whatever the hell was happening there, I hope I never have to go back again. From Reaper's Creepers, the unknown retreats and the shadows release you for now. Join us again to drift deeper into the dark.